we have Kon here from originally from the West Coast, but now in South Florida.
Yeah.
Kon, how are you today, man?
All is well, my brother. I'm glad you're doing well yourself, and I
No,
appreciate
thank
you
you.
having me on the in the interview with the radio station and whatnot, man. A little podcast, so I'm happy to be here.
No, definitely, man. We appreciate you coming on. Again, we appreciate that, man. I want to get into your name, man. Now I heard a couple of things in a couple of singles that you dropped that it might mean this, it might mean that. Explain how you came up with your name, and is it an acronym for something?
To be honest with you, at the time when I was writing, it all came out. I can be straightforward. It all came out a moment where I had writer's block, and I was writing a rhyme one day. I didn't really have a name for myself at that time. I tried to use like some when I was into the Nation of Islam, I tried to use some Islamic names, as most of the brothers did during like the early 90s, the late 80s and stuff like that. I had, various names in high school when I was battling and stuff like that in the 80s and stuff. And then when I really started taking music serious was like in the late 90s, like right when in Los Angeles they had some functions going on like Project Blow. You had where Freestyle Fellowship and all of them got together every Wednesday night and did their things either Wednesday or Thursday. It's been a long time since I've been out there. So it's like Wednesday, Thursday. They had like this workshop called Project Blow. They had The Good Life. And so, you had things like that. You had things like the Funk Collective, where Black Eyed Peas, I used to hang out with will.i.am and Applebee and all them, whole Black Eyed Peas crew on Tuesday nights. And so you had all these various open mic spots that people used to go and bust. And I really didn't have a name at that time, but I was starting to take it serious. And so one day I was writing this rhyme, and I was stoned as hell. And that was before it was all legal and everything like that. And I was sitting in my pop's garage, and I wrote the word confident on a page. And I was like, I couldn't get past the word. It was just sitting there. I went outside. It was late at night, because at that time, I was taking care of his house. So my home, which was basically my home, it was more of my like writer's sanctuary at night. Yeah. And so I wrote the word confident, and I went out. I couldn't get past it. I went outside, started chiefing again, went back inside, and I looked at the word, and I was like, damn, man, this is pissing me off. So I said to myself, I was like, what if I changed that C to a K and I did it backwards? I was like, that's dope. I'm like, nobody's using that name. This is before social media, so it wasn't like I was out there, you can actually check and see if somebody else has that name.
Right.
So at that time, I was just like, yo, that fits me because I'm very confident in what I do. I've always been that way. I've been a loner most of my life since I was like 14 years old and whatnot. And so, and living on the streets, getting kicked out, all these different things. I said, I'm going to take this name. And if anybody wants to take this name away from me, they gotta, we gotta battle for it. I'm taking ownership on it. And so from that point on, it was just like the character, the person who I was, everybody knew that fit who I was as an individual, And so we can go on more and more, but as an adult, I kind of branched away. Everybody is telling me I should use my legal name. And I thought about it for a few years, as I took this long hiatus, what I was going to do, even if I was going to come back into the music. And so, and then I just said, you know what, everybody calls me Kon. Nobody really calls me Confident anyway. And so in some of my rhymes, I'll throw in like King Kong, Konzilla, and then I was like, I came up with the acronym for KON. And then when my boy, who I used to rhyme with, who is still a close brother of mine out in Los Angeles that we used to do all kinds of street stuff with when he was even a shorty, his name is Known. And then one day he was like, no, change that. He said Kon should be knowledge over nonsense, because that's who you are right now. You know, you've elevated yourself from who you used to be, and now you're more mature. You're on this spiritual path. You're on this new way of life. It's not the same dude anymore. So still be called Kon, but change that. And I was like, hot damn, you know, this dude does this again, you know, because Gnome is he's very crafty with his words and the way he does things. He's still a dope MC, you know. And when he said that, I was like, I never argued with you before or anything like that. So be it. That's what it's going to be from this point on. And so I'm transitioning. That's why I named this latest project Kon Volume 1, because I've never used, on the previous projects, I never used my name as a self-titled project. So by me having it just an EP where it's really only 7 songs, which originally I chose to be 5 songs. 2 of the songs came at the last minute. So that I chose to like Kon Volume 1, so people can get used to the transition of me breaking away from the name Confident and moving into what I am. You know, it's Kon. You know, a lot of people call me King, and I humbly accept that. I humbly respect that. At first I was like cringing when people would call me King, and the inside of my head I'd be like, nah, you know, I just fuck with the word every now and then, you know, the wordplay, but I don't look at myself as a king. But the way, you know, people would address me, it was like, okay, I get it, you know, because I respect people. I'm not that type of dude that walks around with the ego, you know. That's not me.
Good stuff, man. Now you made that trek from Los Angeles to South Florida, man. When did you do that, and why make that transition?
Oh, okay. So I was planning on leaving Los Angeles anyway, you know, around 2007, 2000. I was graduating from college, getting my master's degree in political science at that time. And my oldest kids were getting older, you know, and Los Angeles, I could see, I don't know when it was when you lived there, but I could see at the time in the 2000s, because I was out there from the early 80s all the way up until 2009 is when I left. And but the last couple years, I'd say from 2004 all the way to 2009, I was constantly traveling to the East Coast. Like I would go to New York every single year. You know, I was staying in with some family members in Fort Greene. So and then in Bed-Stuy as well. So I was all over New York when New York was still New York, you know, like it was still like 70s, 80s, 90s. It was still New York. So there was like places where like, man, like I would get off the train and catch the cab in Bed-Stuy. Like I would get off the train and catch the cab literally one block just to go to my cousin's crib, because that's how, you know, hood it was. It was like serious business. And so, but I felt free. I noticed when I was going back to see family members on the East Coast, I felt free. You know, in Los Angeles, I felt like I was trapped in a box. But when I would go to the East Coast, I was becoming free again. You know, it was like a breath of fresh air. And so when I knew when I was going to graduate, I knew eventually I wanted to be closer to my grandmother, who eventually, you know, she passed away in transition years back. But I knew I wanted to be closer to her so I could be able to provide and help out for her during that time. And so I ended up meeting my wife in Vegas. And I thought she lived in Los Angeles, and she really she lived in Miami. So I was like, damn, man, you know, she a good woman. I ain't gonna lose this. You know, I ain't losing her. So, you know, we had a long distance relationship, and then for about a year. And then I remember her mom asking me, she was like, so what you gonna do? You gonna take my daughter away from me and move to Cali, or you move in here? And I said to myself, I was like, I didn't want to move to Miami, but I told her at that time I was thinking about moving like to DC to be closer to my grandmother. But then as the weeks went by, I was just like, you know what? I'll eventually move to Miami. So that's basically what took place. You know, I eventually did the trek, went through. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful ride, man. Moving from, you know, the West Coast to a beautiful country, man. You know,
Right.
and then,
Right.
you know, so that's basically what went down. You know, and I hated Miami when I moved here for like years. Couldn't stand it.
Okay.
Love it now though.
Yeah, no, that's
Love it.
Miami's a nice place, man. I love Miami, man. Hey,
Yeah.
now going back to your trips back to New York, you said you felt free. At that point, was it free because your involvement in hip hop, and hip hop was a little different in New York than it was in LA? Explain to me what you're talking about.
I don't know how New York is now, but because I think the last time I did go there, I took my wife and we went there twice. We went the second time for our honeymoon, and that was like in 2012. And I told myself then, I said, nah, you know, New York, it ain't nothing for me no more. It's not the same. And I haven't been back since. I plan on going actually in January, and from that point on, periodically more, because my film crew that does my videos, shout out to Nick, shout out to my man Vic and my man Jay. They do the crazy Too Saucy videos, right?
Okay.
They moved from Miami to New York, so I'm not fucking with nobody else with the filming. They're like, we're like this, and and so I plan on going there more often. But getting back to your question, so when I went to New York, it was on some school stuff initially. I stayed at my cousin's crib in Fort Greene. And when I used to go to New York in the 70s, my mom, we would go to Harlem. And so we go to Harlem and we would go to the Bronx, like in off of Webster Ave, off the D train, you know, out there, the Foreham Road. You know, so it was different. Like, I never went to other parts of New York. I always wanted to go to Brooklyn. I never been to Brooklyn until the early 2000s. And I went out there on a college trip, and my cousin said I could stay with her in Fort Greene. So I went, you know, I was like catching the train and whatnot, and got to Fort Greene. I was like, oh shit, this place got a different bounce to it. So I was like, man, this is different. This is not like, this is kind of like when you hear Master Ace and you hear, you know, Kane and them, they talking about different, like a different bounce to it. They got a different bop. And I was like, oh man, I love this, man. You know, I met Zab Judah. His father used to be my barber, you know, in Brooklyn. You know, I would go there whenever I was in Brooklyn and go see him and stay with my cousin. From that point on, he would cut my hair. So I would listen to the history behind the Fort Greene projects and stuff like that, because we stayed right around the corner. So then next thing you know, I saw music opportunities. So I started going back there more. You know, I hooked up with this cat named Nims early on. You know, Nims and I got a song together, and, you know, and he introduced me to Poison Pen and you know, and I went and I met this other cat named Versus, who was hosting this thing called the last Sunday of every month, which is like an open mic type of vibe that I would see in Los Angeles. So I'm standing around all these, you know, local battle MCs and legends, and I'm catching the vibe with them. Go down, go up to the city, you know, on the weekends, and then I go to see Large Professor play in the city at little hole-in-the-wall joints, and he's rocking it, you know, in this little hole-in-the-wall spot that could probably fit like 150 people, but it's burning out, you know what I'm saying, in wintertime. I got stories in New York, and so then when I started getting into the 5% Nation, you know, at that time, I started going up back to Harlem again. And so this is when Harlem was still black, you know, like, and so getting into all those cultural things and knowing New York from that, it just, and I ended up being my man DJ Reddy C. I was introduced to him by Percy P, and the legendary Percy P, and he had a radio station in the Bronx. And this is when it really solidified that I got to get out of Los Angeles, that I got to move back to the East Coast. Because the way he had his radio station was like Beat Street. It was like something you see in like Beat Street or Wild Style, right? Like you had to go in this project and building in the Bronx, and you had to step over like water puddles and everything like that. And then you go inside his crib, which was really like the bona fide radio station. And inside of his crib, he had nothing but crates and crates and crates of records. Okay. And I'm like, this is New York. And then right in front of his straight up radio station, studio mechanisms, switching boards and all this stuff that he had was a big window. And the window, you see the train go by. So it was like a whole vibe.
Yeah, that's iconic. Like,
yeah, man. And here I am, and he's broadcasting, and this dude, DJ Reddy C, was like, he's the DJ of the time that people in that area of the Bronx are listening to his show. Like they really tuning in. Right. And so at that time, I'm like, man, from a dude coming from LA and going to New York, this is kind of like raw, for me. And the way everybody in New York was like, there was this cat, I forgot it. He was a 5%er, and I forgot his name, his Asiatic name. But I stayed a couple nights with him in the Bronx too, and built with him. And he was telling me, I remember we were walking around Harlem, and he was telling me, he's like, man, you walk like you from New York, you talk like you from New York, you even dress like you from New York, man. Like you got a real, he's all, he goes, if I didn't know you was from Los Angeles, I couldn't tell. And I was like explaining to him, I was actually born and raised on the East Coast at an early age. And then after middle school, we moved to Los Angeles. So that, it felt like I was just coming back home. So I don't know if that answers your question, but I'm digging, and I love the East Coast right now. I'm still an Angelino, because now I'm on the East Coast. I realize there's a lot of things from the West Coast and Los Angeles. I'm like, damn, man, at the end of the day, I'm an Angelino because it just raised me, man. It raised me, you know what I'm saying? Like, too much history. Everybody, my peoples are out there. The ones that still call me and stick to me today, man, those are the ones I love the most. Love everybody, though. Some of y'all forgot about me, though. I have to say that. Some of y'all forgot about me.
No doubt. So you leave Los Angeles, you get to Miami, and so do you immediately get into the music scene down there in Miami, or does it take a little while for you to meet certain cats there to get started?
Actually, for some reason, it didn't take long at all. I got to Miami, and my wife is the one she got tired of hearing me talk about Los Angeles and the hip hop scene and stuff, and then she started pointing me in the right directions, like to gel with certain people. Like, and the dope thing about Miami is Miami's got so many different, it's called, at that time, I don't know if they still do this, but when I moved here, Miami was considered to be like the sixth borough. They called it the sixth borough because so many people from New York lived in Miami. Right. They had this dope club on the beach, on South Beach, called Love and Hate. So you know anything about the Supreme Alphabet, from the Nation of Islam and from the 5% Nation, the gods of Earth, love and hate has a significant value to it. So it was like dope hearing that. I'm like, go check out the club. And it was like, I felt like I was in New York. And I was like, this is dope as hell. Like you walk in there, it was hood. It was some New York shit in there, man. And a place where it's so like in Miami, you got like so many different Latin groups of people. Everybody got their own little hood.
Right. That's
so
true.
For some reason, like there's a lot of Puerto Ricans here, but not as much as in Orlando. So, and me being, from Puerto Rican descent, African-American descent, shit, even Native American descent finding out. You know, it's kind of like was weird, and not really speaking Spanish that much. You know, it was kind of weird for me to kind of get in, right?
Okay.
But my Dominican folks are the ones that open up the doors for me. You know, they were like, what the fuck are you? You Puerto Rican, you Dominican, what are you, man? And I had to explain to them what I was, and they're like, oh, fuck it, you know, you down with us, man. And so they started putting me on different hip hop spots, and then I remember they told me that Sean Price was coming down here to perform. So after doing a song with Buckshot on the West Coast and touring around with BCC on the West Coast, and I already was like, yo, that's my boy coming down here. I have to go see him.
Right.
So I went to the show and everything like that. And that night is when I went by Vice City Cyphers. Like I guess I got like a flyer or something from these cats. And eventually I started going to their shows and ran into the cat H2O, who was doing like this dope ass fucking show. And so he put me on. This show was fucking dope, man. It was an outdoor venue, right? It was an outdoor venue. But, you know, in Miami, it's different than Los Angeles. Like, shows end at 2 o'clock in L.A., like really like 1:30, because they got to close the clubs down. You know, some places you might have some after hours where they stay open late. But in Miami, everything goes on to like 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. That's like typical. So he tells me, he's like, well, I'm going to put you on, but I'm going to put you on be like around 2 o'clock in the morning, or 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, fuck it, that's cool, man. You know, I don't, you know, whoever I perform for. But the thing is that as around 12 o'clock, nobody was there. But like around 12:30 to 12:40, the place gets packed. So by the time I'm getting ready to go on, the place is just rocking. And H2O comes up to me. He's like, man, I'm sorry you going on late, man. I know, you know, you got to be like the 2 o'clock spot. And I'm like, he's like, man, I apologize. I was like, what you apologizing for? You see all these fucking people in here? I don't give a fuck, man. I'm like, let's 2 o'clock, let's do it. So I went on, busted, and from that point on, me and that dude became brothers. You know, like he did like some dope little other spot. I forgot the name of it, but it was dope, man. It was like a little kind of like hole in the wall joint too. Like wasn't as many people as at the other thing that he was doing. But I just felt so free performing, you know, like it wasn't like in Los Angeles where you standing and you're on stage and you in front of a bunch of MCs, like 300 MCs, and everybody's looking at you like, I'm better. You know, like, you know, and you really, it's like you on stage and you battling the crowd, right? You know, like that's not how Miami is. Miami is more like, oh, you can rock the show, you rock the show. We just want to have fun. The crowd's like, we just want to have fun. You know, like we're here, we're Miami, my sun's shining. We ain't got no bullshit, man. We want to enjoy the music. So if the music's hot, we fuck with you. And it took time for me to get adjusted to this, you know, how Miami is. And Miami, don't get me wrong, Miami got places where you don't want to be.
That's true.
Just like any other place, man. I mean, the swamp is about 30 minutes away. They got alligators out there. You know, they talk about Gator Alley. It's real, man. You see some dinosaurs walking around the neighborhood sometimes. So don't sleep on it, man. So, but other than that, people are lovely here, man. You know, and that took a while for me to get used to. So, yeah, man. And I'm kind of picky when I'm going to perform, who I'm performing with, you know, because I read between the lines. You know, social media has got things a little bit. Social media is painting an untrue picture of certain things.
Right.
So I'm still watching shit, and I'm like, I could wait on the performance. So I'm taking everything but I'm taking advantage of the social media too. You know, I'm using it to my advantage. not hating on it, but I'm not in a rush either. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool. I'm cool. My thing is cool. I got my career here, my educational career going and everything like that.
Okay.
I'm a father again. You know, I'm a husband, and I'm cool.
No, good stuff, man. Now you mentioned H2O, right? You mentioned H2O. How now you just explained kind of how you met him, right? Now as far as I know, he's going hard for South Florida hip hop, man, and promoting a lot of artists that can really spit, right? So explain
spitters.
Explain
spitting fire. They spit fire.
Now, explain that relationship with H2O, man. Explain that.
Okay, so H2O wears a lot of hats, and I don't think how should I say this? He is like the undercover Russell Simmons of Miami, but he's so damn humble, and he's close to cracking the code of where his efforts are going to now pay off for him.
Okay.
And some cats that are looking at the politics of the game, that's not from Miami, don't see that. Okay. But people in Miami know that. That's why if there's something happening, if there's two people in Miami that they know each other, it's like kind of like, how should I say this? Big Daddy Kane and KRS-One, like in the 80s. Everybody respects them. They from two different parts of town. But if them motherfuckers got together, which they had, at times, but if they got together, they'll run Miami like it's no other. And that's DJ Heron and H2O. But H2O is not a DJ, he's a promoter. He's everything above, and he's illest. He's an ill-ass MC, right? Don't even. I've heard this dude freestyle, him and this dude, Charlie Fast, and there's a couple other dudes from the crew that I don't know by name. But I seen that dude. I've been to ciphers when I'm listening to him freestyle. No, don't take these. Miami, don't take Miami light. These are warning shots. This is warning shots to anybody outside of Miami. Don't play the South for a fool. These dudes are the vanguard. They the vanguard of Miami. It's like if I go to Los Angeles, and my battling days is. That's why if you listen to my lyrics ain't about battling. They're not coming from an ego side anymore. They're coming for this side of critical thinking. I'm more like a critical thinker. I take the things I'm learning when I teach my political science classes at Miami Dade College, and when I teach, Machiavelli, Rousseau, Plato, Socrates, the Republic. These are the things that if I'm teaching my students, I said to myself, why don't I now teach what I know in my rhymes? So that's what I'm doing. So the battling days is over for me. I already did it. It's like getting these tattoos that I got on my body, If I get a tattoo now, I'm using numbing cream. Nobody's got to tell me, oh, why don't you just accept the pain? Get the fuck out of here, man. I'm tattooed all over my body. I know how it feels. The shit hurts. I don't have to prove shit to nobody no more. Numb me the fuck up and do the tattoos.
Right.
I ain't got no problem with that. But, the battling days of MCing, that shit is over with. I already battled at the project. If you were Los Angeles MC and you did not go to the Blow ever and hold your own, you may think you got the credit that you think you should deserve. You do not. I'm not going to say that everybody at the Blow likes me, but my name is good at Project Blow. You know what I'm saying? good.
Right.
It's good because I've done my share of battling. I've also, I love everybody too, and I'm respected on that level. So I don't have no beef and no animosity, no tension with anybody from the blow. But that's the same thing in Miami. If you don't go through Vice City Cypher and they don't test you out,
okay,
man, you ain't do your due diligence.
right.
You ain't do your due diligence because there's these dudes. They nice as hell, man. But I'm just saying, like H2O is he runs with a school of sharks.
Okay.
Let me just say, like LL Cool J said, they got blood shooting out the gills. You know,
okay.
These dudes,
okay.
yeah. So H2O is like he's the go-to guy of anything hip hop, real hip hop in Miami at a local level.
Yeah. No, he's definitely going hard for the Miami hip hop, man, and everything that we've seen from the artist standpoint and him sending stuff to us. I mean, it's hip hop. You know what I mean? It's real hip hop. And we appreciate that, man. We appreciate that. Let's get into some of your music, right? So you had we learned about you back in September from H2O.
Okay.
I think that first one was Shock Therapy.
Shock Therapy, yeah. That actually was the second one. Self-Hate was a little bit slower and grimy. Kind of had like this psychedelic feel to it, like an Alchemist type beat. It was produced by my homeboy out in the hood, out in LA, DJ Mr. C, and J-Ro from Alcoholics. He co-produced the track, and everybody was kind of telling me, even he didn't want me to release it first, but I just felt like, I was like, man, fuck it, I ain't got nothing to lose, so I'm gonna do it my way anyway, and just release it. We did a video to it, and the video started catching more buzz. And then when that happened, so the track Shock Therapy was second. We recorded it. I wanted to have more like that punk rock kind of ampy voice tone, as that's why you see that I'm a little hype on that track. Right. Nobody's doing that. So as everybody's kind of like nowadays, everybody's playing it safe. They on the right side. Everybody sounds like Rock Marciano right now. All the beats sound like Rock Marciano. That type of, what's dude's name? West Side Gun. The beats, everything has that type of feel, and I think it's dope.
Right.
For the originator, you dig, for the originator. But for everybody to jump on that same flow, it's like you burning out the originator, because I'm trying to listen to the originator and enjoy it, but a million of you motherfuckers sound just like them. Right. And now you camouflage an originator. You camouflage because there's too many of you. You all sound the same. Right. So, and I come from that era where, being fresh would make you down by law or not, Right. You couldn't be a biter, right? And so I had to stick to my creed, man. I was like, man, at this point, I'm not bragging about the money situation with me, but at this point in my life, I don't have to look at hip hop as a money issue. Like I need money, so I need to make money through hip hop. I'm not thinking like that anymore. I don't have to think like that anymore. And so by not using that as a financial motivator, I'm like, fuck it, dude. I might just scream and sound ridiculous on the track, but if that's the way I feel, then I'm gonna do it. So if somebody's gonna like it,
Right.
And so the Willie B from Top Dog Entertainment, him and I hooked up through some transactions and friend and stuff like that, and he made that beat. And so when he sent me that beat, I was just kind of like, man, tears started rolling down my eyes when I heard that beat, that instrumental. I'm like, I'm about to kill this shit, but I'm like, I'm about to take a huge risk because I'm gonna kill it in a way that he may not like the way I bust on it. Okay. And so I did it anyway. The dude that engineered the track, mixed the track down, his name is Danny Toferno. He's an Italian cat, dope engineer. He mixed the track down and he liked it. And he's a younger dude. So I started letting these younger kids hear the track. And the younger kids were like, that shit is fucking dope. That shit is dope. Some of them were my students and everything. You know, I'm like, yeah, they're like, that shit is dope. Release it. I'm like, yeah, but I know some cats are not going to like it. But they're like, fuck them, sir. You know, we like it, and that's all that matters. You know, there's going to be other people that like it. I'm like, okay. And it's true enough, people my age and some other people don't like the track because I know they don't like the way I'm busting, like I got energy in my voice. But the crazy thing is that when I released the video for that track, the feedback is crazy. Even H2O was like, yo, this track is burning right now. He's like, it's burning. And I'm like, really? Better than the other one? And he's like, man, this shit is burning. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I knew from that point on, people were going to trip out because on the project, the rest of the tracks sound nothing like the first two. And if you wait, I got a video coming with this track, this dude it's called Designated Driver, with this track produced by Sai Puda, who is an ill producer too. He actually produced another track for my upcoming for volume 2, right? But that video, man, you wait till you see that video. That video is going to be, it's a wrap. So people that listening to the project, they listen to all the songs, it's like they know they're going on a journey because not every track sounds the same on the project. And I'm doing this shit on purpose, man. You listen to a Beatles album, all the great musicians, when I took an 8-year hiatus of not making any music, not writing shit for 8 years. My daughter is 7 years old right now, my youngest daughter. So before she was born, I stopped listening to hip hop and I stopped writing to hip hop. I wanted nothing to do with hip hop. I started going into a deep depression, and I realized at that point in my life, part of my depression was hip hop. So I had to detox from it, and I left it alone. And during that time, I listened to so many great artists, and I said to myself, none of their fucking albums sound the same, and none of them chose to sound like someone else. And not only were they influenced by the drug of that time, but it was more their ambition to do something that was quality as opposed to quantity. And so I looked at the dates of how these albums came out by these various musicians. Some of them waited 4 years before they put out another project. Some of them waited 2 years. It was rare that it was within a year that another artist would put out another record. And I was like, wow, that gave the audience, the fans, like that thirst to really want to hear what the next project was, right? And you like thirsty for it. But at the same time, that it gave them that period to create classic albums. You listen to David Bowie. David Bowie in the 70s didn't sound like David Bowie until he died, and just in the 2000s. But David Bowie's music is dope as fuck, man. Right now I'm listening to Pink Floyd. That's heavy on my rotate list. This one older dude, he was like, man, you listen to that Dark Side of the Moon, man, you gotta listen to the stuff that came out in the 60s, young man. He's like, that stuff blew our wig. I'm like, what? It's like Uma Muma album, whatever that shit is. I put that shit on last night. I'm like, so and I will say this, the only album, there's two artists that I did listen to in that hiatus at one point in time. I did, I'm not gonna lie. There's like a couple months where I listened to their albums nonstop in heavy rotation because they were just beautiful albums. And that was Kendrick Lamar's Pimp a Butterfly album. I couldn't stop listening to that. I had to force myself not to stop listening to that project. Okay. And Rhapsody's second album, I believe, she had the way her flow is. It's just like kind of like on the edge, but it's slow, it's smooth. It's like she's having nice fun. It's like she's incredible. She's incredible. So I listened to those projects and I said, well, okay, there's some hope, but I wasn't ready. So man. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
No. I mean, I could talk all day. I'm just telling you that, you know, so when to do that track, you know, I knew people were not ready for it, but it was me. And it now end up growing. People like, video's fucking dope as fuck. It's better than the first one. And wait, so I got shit up, you know. I got a plan, man. A man is not a man without a plan, you know. A man is not a man without a plan.
So what was it with hip hop, man, that sent you into this depression? If you can, you know, if you can explain that.
So I was like, Los Angeles is, when you into music, I was talking to this one cat, Sick Jack from Psycho Realm. I used to hang out with these dudes before I left Los Angeles, and you know, hang out at the studio that they call the Drug Lab and everything like that. And I got to know Sick Jack like really, really close. And him and I were talking one day about like hip hop and about the money that's being in it and this, that, and the third. And we were just cracking up because we was both agreeing that you don't have to be this big hip hop star to actually live a hip hop lifestyle, right? Like you could be local and neighborhood famous and be living the same lifestyle as Jay-Z in your own neighborhood, doing all the crazy stuff, you know, like dealing with females and stuff like that. And, you know, whatever, you know, drug that's around and all this stuff, and crime shit, or getting in clubs free, you know, getting catered to. You can get catered to the exact same way if you neighborhood famous, right? And him and I were just cracking up about that. But it's a double-edged sword, because then you get to see other things that fans don't see. You get to see the real life of who your favorite stars are. Right. And then that begins to change your perception on what you're about to get into as a hip hop artist. And you don't really have the time to self-reflect to see how other people see you. So I started seeing how other people were changing with me. Like, they didn't want to be around me as much. They could tell that I was developing an ego. They were tell I was feeling like that, even though in my head I'm thinking I'm down to earth and I'm being, you know, I'm being real. But on the outside, other people are looking at me like, dude, what happened to you? You change it, right? And so you can see those dynamics start to play. And then as you backstage, you see how these hip hop artists, who they really are, and it ain't who you see on stage. It ain't what they write about on their music. It's very hypocritical. Okay. And so when I started seeing that, and then, you know, when you can't even eat at a McDonald's or go to an In-N-Out Burger or go shopping in a mall without somebody coming up to you saying, yo, are you Kon? Yo, and I'm like, who the fuck is this? You know, and that shit starts to kind of wig you out too, because you're wondering, like, now there's people know who you are that you don't know. It's starting to change. And then I can see my oldest kids growing up very, very fast. And as they're growing up fast and I'm here trying to figure all this shit out as a young man, that's when I was like, fuck, man, like, I'm not happy no more. So then when I moved to Miami, trying to get adjusted to Miami and everything like that, man, I went deep into the deep depression. I mean, super deep. And I could tell that I wasn't alone in this depression. You know, like, there's other people I could see being affected, and they weren't really like, you know, like being honest with themselves. And then I see how people in Los Angeles shut the doors on me. It was like, as soon as I left, some people that were close to me shut the door, and they were like, okay, you're out. I'm glad you're gone because we're about to do this now. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know, I've been cool with everybody. I've never turned my back on nobody. If I open up the door and I say, yo, let's go, let's move, let's run, let's get on this jet ski, get the catching this wave right now. Let's do this. If I do that to you, even to this day, it's not that I expect you to have the same love for me. I just don't expect you to close the doors and be like, yo, fuck this nigga. You know, I don't expect that shit. You know, that's the least you can do for me. You know, is still be true to that, honor that friendship. So when I saw that start to happen, I was like, I just went into a dark space, and I didn't want to be around nobody no more. Okay. But at that time, when I wrote the joint for self-hate, that was me releasing the darkness that was going through my life at that time. It was now I was exhaling. But by the time this project was finished, is when I started having fun. So it's a journey. It's a personal journey, for sure. Okay.
Now, how's the and I know you have to run, but how's the EP doing right now?
We can talk.
What's the EP? How's it doing? What's the response to it?
It's doing very well for what I expected, and I don't expect if anything happens bigger than what it's going right now, then I want to know how the fuck that happened, you know, because, you know, when you just coming back in the game and you starting off and in 8 years, so much shit has changed with social media. Like you got to be, if you want to be an independent artist, you got to know how to fuck with the algorithm. You got to know how to shift stuff from cash to crypto, and you know, now you got there's so many, and then the likes and the comments. I'm seeing promoters like there's one cat named Jake Infamous who throws like these huge parties here in Miami. He I remember sitting in his office one day a few years ago, and he was like, I'm telling him about certain people, and the first thing he does is go and find a person and then looks how many likes and see what's the response. And that he tells me he will not book anybody. He goes, half the artists that he books to perform, he doesn't even know who they are. He doesn't even like them. He doesn't even like listen to that shit. The majority of them. He said all that matters to him is the following. Wow. So, yeah.
He sounds like the record labels, right? That's what the record labels do now, from what I understand.
That's what MCs do to each other now. No, MCs won't even fuck with other MCs unless they see that you got to follow them. And the skill is not the thing anymore. No one's looking at the skill no more. You know, like, so when Guilty Simpson and I did the track, what cats don't realize is that Guilty Simpson and I were already building on this 5 years ago. Not that the track was done 5 years ago, is that him and I've been talking about this for 5 years ago. And I was honest with Guilty. I was like, look, I'm not in a good place right now mentally to even do this. It's not that I don't want to do it. I was like, I'm just not mentally here right now. You know, and he tells me, he says, look, do what you got to do. And he goes, when you're ready, I'm right here. Okay. That's a dude that I never met face to face. Right. But that's the type of compassion and that's the type of respect. Imagine if every MC in the game had that type of respect for each other. If I hear you and you sound dope, I don't give a fuck if you sound Charlie Brown or Snoopy Doopy or whatever, you know, or the Electric Company gang, Sesame Street. I don't care. Right. If you dope, I want to be, you know, or featured or fucking with you. I want to have you featured on some of my stuff, because that means I'm opening up the doors for other people to be like, yo, I heard him on Confident Shit. That was the first time I heard him. Who the fuck is Confident? Yo, go check his shit out. Right. But MCs are not like that no more. They're not like that. The producers and the DJs are to a certain extent. Okay. But the MCs, nah. MCs are like females right now. Male MCs are got female tendencies right now.
That's funny, man. I've heard that a couple of times, man. Well, big up to Guilty Simpson for that though, man.
Yeah, he's a real one. And everybody that I have performed with on a track, from Buckshot to Sean Price to Ono, Madlib's little brother, I know he hates hearing that, but that's the truth. To him, to J-Ro, all the way up to Guilty Simpson. Guilty Simpson is the only one that I haven't met face to face, but he fits in that category of being a friend. Okay. Buckshot is a friend. J-Ro is a brother. Sean Price was a great friend. I still got his cell number. I would call him up. I would talk to Bernadette on the phone. I talk to his kids on the phone. They know Kon. I knew when I called him and I hear the Charlie Brown theme song come on, he was busy. That was his little music. So what I'm saying is that other people that I would like to, I just think MCs need to be more like that, because there's enough money for all of us to eat.
That's true.
We should be opening up these doors for everybody to get a little piece of that, man. There's enough money for us, everybody to eat. If you're an artist, man, the hip hop would be so healthier and better and a stronger movement if male MCs weren't on that feminine-ish, bickering like women. They just do.
Right. Hey, really, really quickly, if you can, man, talk about. I know the last two songs that we heard from you. The one is called The Jab, and the other one is the Medicine, I believe. And Guilty's on that the Jab single. And that joint, I don't know who produced that joint, but that joint is hard, man.
Yeah, okay. So both of those tracks, and here's a crazy little thing. Both of those tracks are produced by my man Duke Westlake out in L.A. He actually has a track that was never released with what's that guy that just did that song or did that album with that Filipino, half black, half Filipino singer, the one that everybody loves. He's like a little short dude. Man, anyway.
Anderson .Paak, that dude?
Anderson .Paak, yeah. He's got a joint. He produced a joint for Anderson .Paak way back, man. That he let me hear. It was kind of crazy to hear. And Anderson .Paak got skills. He's a nice MC, man. Okay. And so he produced that track, and he produced the Medicine joint. And if you notice that they sound different, right? Like one's like a headbanger, like just where me and Guilty are just like passing the mic. It's like we passing the baton, like he's running. I gotta catch up with him, and then quick little handoff, and I keep it moving. Well, the other track is a lot smoother. Someone got that little like throw it on the club at any age, and you want to get your little female out there and start dancing, but it's underground hip hop, right? You can still put one in the air and get lifted to it. So he produced both of those tracks, and my man Destruct and his wife Sylvan Gold, she's on that track doing the hook. So I called him back, and Destruct is a cat. He's a young kid from Los Angeles. His bloodline's from Brazil. He's a cool kid, and he's always been nice since I've known the young dude. And I just felt like it was such an honor for him to even say. And he's doing his thing out in Los Angeles, big time right now. So just to have him, have him say, "Yeah, you want to do this with me," and then have his wife get on there. I'm like, and I knew it. I knew as soon as because I heard his wife sing before, and she got a few projects out. And when I knew she agreed, when he told me before he even wrote his verse to it, and then he told me that his wife is willing to do a hook, I already knew it was going to be a classic. I already knew it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man. Well, I know you have to go. We don't want to hold you longer, man. I appreciate you, taking the time to speak to us. Where can everybody reach out to you on social media if they're interested in, hearing more of your music?
Yeah, if you want to, so my album or my EP is called KON. Well, first you got to search up Confidence spelled with a K, and then look for KON Volume 1. That's the new project that's out. It's on all streaming media outlets except Bandcamp. As soon as the numbers go up a little bit more, I'm taking it off of everything, and I'm only going to release it on Bandcamp, for, hey, I need a little bit of money off of it. I'm not asking, but, these other cats getting paid. And so off me. So I don't want that shit to keep happening. But if you want to follow me on social media, Instagram, you can _ Confident, KONFIDENT _ in the front of the name and at the end. That's how you can find me on Instagram and on Twitter. So I want to say thank you very much for letting me be on SpitFireHipHop. I hope one time, in the future, you can have me back. And I'm going to let you know right now, Volume 2, I'm not letting no cats out the bag. But the production and the people that's on this next project, which will only be 5 songs, not 7.
Hey, hey, we look forward to that one, man. We look forward to that one.
I do too. I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
And before I let you go, I want to say whoever's watching this, I have no idea why you shut the doors on me. Y'all know who you are, but just sit back and relax and marinate on that. I don't even understand why you do it. Open them back up so we can all eat.
Why not, man? Why not? That's the righteous way to do it. Why not? Open the door back up. But hey, we'll have to have you
up so we can
man.
eat.
Hey, we'll have to have you back because we'll have to talk about. I wanted to talk about some of the other stuff that you're doing with the STEM project and all that stuff, and your education and what you're doing in that.
We
area.
We got time if you just want to say I'll give you 2 more minutes. I'll just say really quick if you don't mind.
No, cool.
Yeah. So I work in. I don't want to put out the place that I work at on here, but
no problem.
I do work in Little Haiti, and I work at one in Little Haiti, in which I love. I love working with the Haitian community and the young lords that are out there and helping them get ahead. So the STEM project that I developed is it's a magnet program that deals with robotics, deals with GIS, like geographic information systems, with the drones, data analysis. We monitor when COVID first hit, we were able to set up data analysis that would show live readings of the spread of COVID within a 5-mile radius of our location. Wow. These are with the young kids. Wow. So, and we host the biggest robotics competitions in the east side of Miami, which is like Little Haiti, Wynwood, the downtown Miami area. And it's with our inner city location. So we also teach them the entrepreneurship of business, how to develop a business plan, how to market themselves. They get these certifications which qualify them to be stronger, competitive candidates to get jobs that are making anywhere from like high 2,700s, 27,000 a year, 27,000 a year, or in the high 30s, depending on what certifications that they get. So I developed it. I started in 2019, and here we are in 2020, getting ready to go into 22, and it's moving very strong, where I have been working hard to change the diversity at the school, because it was mostly young men who were like about 70%, almost 80% of the population, and most of them Haitian Americans or Haitian immigrants. Very few other Latinos were coming to the school, or whites, or in the Asians that we have. And so right now, I helped change the diversity of the ethnicity in the school. We have a good amount of Latinos, like Cubans, mainly affluent Cubans, coming sending their kids to our school, and South Americans from like Colombia, Venezuela, and all those places like that, sending their kids to our school. We even have some kids are trying to get to our school before they even come back to come to the United States. We have parents.
Wow.
So these are big things. And I just had a meeting 2 weeks ago with a young man who invests in the NFTs and to cryptocurrency. And he started up a nonprofit organization his name is Mr. Knoll. Mr. Knoll is Jeff Knoll is his first and last name. Jeff Knoll is a young, I don't know if he's Haitian or African-American, but he's like in his 20s and he's already a millionaire. And he was a millionaire because right out of high school, he started investing into cryptocurrency. So now what he wants to do is show the younger generation in our communities how to take advantage of this while they're in high school and they don't have to wait. So where I work is going to be the first host to springboard this into the Little Haiti area where these inner city kids will be able to understand how to create an NFT and market it with our ERP program and then be able to benefit it into the cryptocurrency side. So we have a lot of spotlight on our location, and it fell into my lap because I was in 2019, I was trying to get out of being inside of the classroom and I wanted to be more on the leadership side. And one of my frat brothers hits me up. He said, look, I got a spot for you. It's in this situation, which I had no idea what the hell I was getting myself into until I actually got the job. And then they told me and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm down with this. And so I learned about coding, like Java, Python, C++, and all this stuff. I learned a lot about that within about 2.5 years, just not certified in it myself. But I'm the chairman of the department. So I got to be connected with the robotics team for Miami Dade School District. So now I'm running with the leaders all over, and we're setting up these satellite locations all through the district of having robotics competitions. And it all started with me being a part of that situation.
Okay. No, that sounds like a good situation, man.
Very happy. Very happy.
Yeah, for those young people there, man, that can change their lives, definitely.
It is. It's doing it right now. And, if the school board is listening or anything like that, it would be awesome if they could start allowing these magnet programs to have the school buses equally, some resources like everybody else should have. I want to give all my respect and love to H2O for being in my right hand, for being behind my back, being my right-hand man, giving me with all the encouragement that he has given me. I really want to give a lot of big ups to that dude. Duke Westlake for the production, Guilty Simpson, Destruct for being like a positive reinforcement in my head, and never telling me, keep it moving. His wife, Sylvan Gold, my film crew, Jay and Vic, and so many others. I just want to say thank you to all for you being in my corner, and to DJ Ronan and Jay Ronan and DJ Bonds out in Los Angeles and DJ Ready C in New York. Hey, it's coming again, right? It's coming again. So thank you. Salute.